Hey guys, got an interesting topic for today in my very sporadic series of me rambling at you about stuff. Today I wanted to go over the idea of touching grass. Um, it's a big one that I see a lot because I moderate a couple of fairly large discords with several thousand players on them for a couple of games, both Flesh and Blood and one for Star Citizen. Um, Anyone watching this probably comes from one of those two communities because I have no idea how else you would even find this video. If you are from somewhere else, tell me how the hell you found this because I'd be curious. Basically, it's a little bit more video game focused than card game focused, but there's overlap. And I also think that most of the card game players probably play computer games because games are games, right? I know a lot of people who are just really unhappy playing a video game. And, Star Citizen is a big one for that in the community, where you just see people who are logging in every day to play a game that is upsetting them. You see people log in and go, today I'm going to do a whole load of grinding and I'm going to dedicate 3 or 4 hours of my day to trying to accomplish something, even though they know that it is bugged. And then they come to Discord and complain that it's still not working. And I don't want to filter all the blame onto the players, that's unfair. But I do think there is an individual responsibility to not upset yourself. If you know something isn't fun, whether it be, via bugs or via, bad content, I think people should think more about why they are doing that to themselves. Because, I play games because they're fun. And to steal the advertising slogan of gambling aware, when the fun stops, stop. Because you are just putting yourself through upset. And I don't understand why people do that. Or at least I don't overall understand why they keep doing it. I think games have a tendency to be able to Skinner boxes. I think it's Skinner boxing. They give you your daily grind and you log on every day to do the grind and it becomes part of your routine. So you do it every day, even if you're maybe not enjoying it. Even if you don't need the rewards, even if you know the game's about to do a reset and you're not going to gain anything, even if the reward is crap. The story I tell people a lot is how I came to quit playing World of Warcraft. It is the big MMO that I played, and I played it for a long time. I assume I did about a decade of it. I played from Classic all the way through to Cataclysm. But I didn't play very much Cataclysm. My story is basically this. I was on the raiding schedule. I was the off-tank. I was helping raid lead a lot of the nights, and I was playing, competitively. I was in the top Alliance guild of a server. We were second only to the Horde guild above us on that server, and we occasionally did things before them. So we're playing as hard as you could play on our server. And we're doing progress and we're doing all the grinding and all this that goes with that. And I was at work, and my job was working in a game shop. More to the point, running the game store. It was mine. And I don't remember the exact day, but let's just call it a Wednesday night. Didn't have an evening opening session, and I was kind of wrapping up a little bit to get ready to go home and go do WoW raiding. And a few of the players had just finished a board game and basically went, a couple of our friends are just getting off work, but they'd love to come play some more games. Are you open tonight? And I said, no, not sorry, we don't have an opening session tonight. I've got WoW raiding to do. And they're like, oh, come on, play with us. We haven't played a board game with you today. It'll be really fun. People are coming in. And I was like, it does sound really, really fun. I really want to do this. And I was like, I really want to, but I've got a raiding obligation. And they're like, oh, that's a shame. I'm like, yeah, I really don't want to do it. I'm having no fun. And I kind of said that to them. And as I said it, it clicked on me for the first time. I'd not enjoyed WoW for probably a year at that point, if I'm picking at it. I'd definitely not enjoyed it for several months. But I think as far back as a year before, I'd probably lost a lot of interest. But I was treating WoW like my job. And I was going, I can't stay here at work having fun with people who want to play exciting games with me. I have to go raid. And that was like a slap in the face. And what I did was I dropped onto... it had been forums back then of some sort, I think. But I dropped basically onto the organisation page for the guild and was like, hey, is there anyone who can fill in for me tonight? And they're like, oh yeah, we can get you someone, don't worry. I was like, great. So I kind of called it off and had an evening with these guys. And, we stayed up until 10 p.m. maybe. We had pizza... We played games, we had a chat. It was great fun. And then I went home and basically resigned from my guild and just said, look, I'm done. And it was, it really was a jerk where I realised, oh my God, I've just been doing this because it's what I've done for a decade. And I've had better offers and more interesting things to do and other things to play. And I'm just going, no, I have to do the old thing that I have been, what did you call it? Coerced into doing? I know it's my choice, but free will is difficult sometimes, right? Marketing and manipulation and all that can be very, very strong. And I look at that as my milestone moment where I realise I shouldn't be doing things that I don't find fun. And I think that's something that people really should embrace as a concept. And, I think it applies to anything in gaming. I think, your recreational time should be you productively wasting your time. Because, if you are spending that time and you're not having fun, why are you doing it? Because you're not making money, which is the main reason to waste your time and not have fun. So you're just wasting your time being sad and also not becoming richer. And that to me just seems madness. If you're going to make yourself miserable for 2 hours, go stack some shelves. They will give you money for it. I mean, don't just walk in and try and stack shelves. Get a job. But you sort of follow where I'm getting at with that. If you're not doing something that you enjoy, why do it unless somebody's giving you something for it? And, video game wise, to use the Star Citizen thing and just to sort of background it for anyone who's not familiar with the game at all. At the moment, they are trying to convince people to test all the cargo delivery kind of missions. So you are space trucking. You load up a flying van with boxes and you take them somewhere and you unload them. And the problem is it's kind of broken and a lot of the lifts don't work, and players being people have decided it would be really funny to deliberately break them and make it a miserable experience for a lot of people. And there are people making themselves do it every day. and then going, I'm sad. And, you know, everyone has a right to feel sad. But at the same time, maybe just don't do that to yourself. You know, like, if a game, any game, is not making you happy, there are at least 1,000 good games, right? At least. I don't know what the number of games that would, you know, be considered as good enough to play, but there must be 1,000. There must be minimum 50 in every genre. Why aren't you doing that instead? Failing that, if you can't think of a game to play apart from the one that's making you sad. You know, when people say touch grass, I know some people say it trying to offend people, but I think it's a genuine sentiment. You know, go out, walk to your local park, look at some squirrels, assuming you're in a country of squirrels, look at something else if you don't have squirrels. You know, deep breath, you know, enjoy life rather than inflicting misery upon yourself. And I think the worst thing is when people not only inflict that upon themselves, but then by going to social media, and Discord is social media, don't think it isn't, they then just cement it on themselves. You know, they angry rant, and you know they have two outcomes, right? Thing one, they're just upsetting themselves more because they're ranting and the rant fuels the upset. But thing two is, it's either Vox Clementus, they are screaming into the void, no one's listening, and they're annoyed because no one's listening, or someone's agreeing with them, so then they're just having a little pity party. Could be really blunt, like, you know, you are just both sat winding each other up about it. Or even worse, someone comes along and goes, no, I'm having fun. And then you're mad because they're having fun and you're not, and why are they having fun? And how dare they enjoy the thing that you're not enjoying? And I just think all of this is just, it's unhealthy. You know, it's unhealthy anger, and you are brewing it yourself. Because you don't have to do it. You don't have to engage in that conversation. You didn't have to engage in that game. And is, you know, this is kind of my soapboxing for the day. You know, like, just don't do that to yourself, because you will be happier if you don't. And anyone thinking rationally about it will go, yeah, of course you'll be happier if you don't do that to yourself. And, you know, my hope, my dream is that this just reaches out to somebody who's doing this to themselves and they go, maybe I won't. So yeah, that's my discussion for the day. I have no idea how many people are going to listen to this at all, even through to the end, but I hope it's some sort of content that people enjoy. You know, I'm trying to dabble in things that I like doing, and I like doing this kind of thing, so I thought I'd give it a whirl. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.